What's going on, guys? Sting right here. Just want to do a quick weekend outlook. Just going to cover dollar, euro, pound, Aussie. I might touch on New Zealand a bit, and then we'll do a more in-depth review on other pairs Monday or Tuesday once things kind of start unfolding. We'll look at dollar CAD. Might take a glance at UJ, and then there's a cross that I'm looking at, which is euro Aussie. So I'll do a more in-depth on those as the week progresses and as we get the opening candles and stuff. But for now, it is July 7th, 2019. Let's hop into it. So I just want to start with dollar index. If we go back to our last week review, what we were initially looking for is we were looking for a bearish dollar bias. So we were from here, this range right here, we were expecting it to come down and take out this low and then maybe make a move up or head lower. But it didn't do that. It kind of ranged around here, and then it just started kind of rocketing up, and then it spent most of the week in this tight range right here, and then Friday we had one last leg up. So I said, okay, that's fine. I wasn't really too worried about that because I knew that was a possibility, because if you look at that, this was a pretty fast down move, right? And then we had a quick move up, and then hopefully we see another move down, because if we look at it, we were making higher highs and lower lows this whole time up here, so we're in a bullish trend. We sweep this high, and then we break market structure onto the downside. So this would be our downside break in market structure, would be this low right here, right? So as soon as we break this low right here, we're looking for shorts. Break that low, come back up and make a lower high, right? So now that we form this high right here, we say, okay, there's a lower high in after this low was broken. So we have a lower high, and now we're looking for a lower low. It makes the lower low, breaks this low, right? And now we're looking for a lower high. So my whole thesis is based on the fact that if we don't break above this level right here, the 97.75, if we come up and SFP that, that's fine. I don't want to see that. But if we do come up and SFP that and reject that, then that's fine. But my whole thesis is based on if we come up here and flip this as support, that's where I'm wrong. So if we do one of these, right, and then head up higher, then I'm wrong. But until that happens, until this low is given in, then I think we'll head lower, because if we look, then this is, right, bearish market structure. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, this is also a range level. If we look at this leg right here, right, so that's just the midpoint of this leg right here. So I expect once we get back below this midpoint, we take out this low, and then we start really accelerating downward towards this low, and then take out this low. So that's what my whole high time frame premise is based off of. And then there's a couple other things too. So if we drop down to the 4 hour, so if we look, like we said, this is a quick, fast, thin move down. This was the ultimate void fill right here. So this was the extent that I wanted to see price come into, and it did come up perfectly and tap that, went a couple pips above, and is now starting to roll over. I mean, this is just the end price action of Friday, so we don't really have to look at that. But I do like this breakaway gap down here, and this was a gap that was formed, and it never really came back to retest it. So there's a couple interesting things about gap. I'll kind of throw some gaps. I'll kind of throw some sauce in here. So if you want to look at this one right here. All right, so if we mark out this gap right here, they actually act as dynamic support and resistance once they're filled. If you don't believe me, you can go back test this. But look, basically we have this gap right here. It comes down, fills it, rallies away, breaks it here, finds resistance there, sells off, and it comes back up and engulfs it, and then finds support right here. So if we do get below, we do end up coming down and making a clean break below this, probably want to see us find support right there at this. Once we engulf that, that's going to be really fucking bearish. So even if we come down and fill that and then start rallying away, okay, fine, then we'll probably just form a new range here. But if we engulf this gap level and then start heading lower, that's really bearish. So that's my idea on dollar. And if we take a quick look at the yields, we do also have, sorry, I should have started with that. So our calendar for this week. We have some Euro news tomorrow, which isn't like huge, but we do have a couple of things about Draghi speaking. We have Powell speaking on Tuesday and a couple FOMC members. So that'll kind of give us the whole hint. Okay, what's the tone going into the FOMC meeting? Are we going to be looking for more rate cuts? That's pretty much almost guaranteed at this point, but it's just more of a matter of when it happens. Is it going to be sooner rather than later? Or are they going to push it off till next year? On Wednesday, we also have the Canada rate statement. We also have Thursday's CPI, Friday's USD PPI. We do have some Aussie news on Wednesday as well, Wednesday and Thursday. But that seems to be about it. So I do think we could see some dollar negatives coming into the into the news. If we look at the yields charts, so this is just 30-year, 10-year, 5-year, and DXY. So if we look at these ranges they've been in, the yields have pretty much caught up with the rate cuts, okay? All the way down to 2.5% on most of them, past that on the other ones, on the 30-year at least. If we look at where they are in the ranges relative to where dollar is in the range, they all started around the same time, right? So dollar's been in this tight really range. We saw this expansion move at the same time. Dollar had this move right here. But since then, we've had a quick down correction, and this hasn't followed at all. So I do think when we do snap back, it's going to be a nasty snapback. But as we do see on the weekly, we've kind of started shifting market structure, but we haven't really made a clean break in market structure to where we say, okay, this is probably confirmed now. So that's one thing I am waiting for, and that's why I have been bearish dollar, but it's just more of a waiting game, right? Is even if your macros point to it, you don't want to hop in too early, because that's one of the hardest things is timing. So it's just a waiting game at this point. So when it's ready to flush, it will flush, is my whole thinking there. Let's hop into euro and pound. So this is what I have marked out for euro and pound. I do like euro over pound. It looks stronger to me. And if we want to look at Y real quick, give you guys some more sauce right here. So this is just future charts for all the individual currencies. Let's clean this up a little bit. All right. So these don't look great either way, right? They both look pretty bearish because they're both making in a pretty bad bearish trend. But if we look at it, and we'll go over this more on euro as well. Kind of separate this out. Okay, so they're all in bearish trends, right? Makes high, lower low, higher high, lower low, low, high, lower high, higher high, sorry, higher low, higher high, higher low, hopefully, right? If it doesn't break this low. So if you look relatively just based on market structure, I like I like euro over pound for longs. Now, if DXY does actually push up above that level and find support there, then we'll be looking to take our pound shorts, right? So this just kind of gives us either way. If we're looking for longs, we're going to be taking euro. If we're looking for shorts, we're going to be looking for pound. Okay. So that's our overall macro on the market structure. On a more intra-week market structure, or on a daily market structure, look, we took out this low right here, and since then we've had a trend shift. So it takes out this high. This is your break in market structure right here. And you can be, and this is all up to discretion too, you can be more conservative with this. You can say this is your break in market structure right there. But either way, you get a clean break in market structure. It comes back down, makes a higher low, right? Makes a higher high. And then hopefully what we're thinking is this is going to be another higher low, and it has to hold this low right here. And just like dollar, it could come down and SFP this and then rally. But ideally, we want to see it start rallying off here in the beginning of the week because it's already filled this whole objective, okay? So I want to see euro start taking off from here. I don't really want to see it fucking around and waste time. But if it does, then that's going to be more of an indicator. Okay, fine. Maybe we're going to go a little bit lower. Maybe we're going to take out this low right here and then kind of rally off this block right here in here somewhere. Okay. But I really like this scenario first. So if we look on the 4 hour, we've come back down into this daily demand. We filled in this entire void, and there's some clean highs left up here, and I could see us rallying back into this, we'll call it 133 level. Okay, and so if we also do look back on the daily, this weekly mid-range that I marked out, why did I mark that out? So once we get back above this level, I think we really heat up. Because once we get back above, this is the price leg that we're currently within. So if we look, we had a little price leg down, price leg up, price leg down. So this is the trend, right, that we're still stuck within. So this was the bearish trend that we were stuck within. So we mark out that 50% of that. This is the weekly mid-range right here. So I do expect us, once we get back above this, find some support here, I do think it's going to move pretty quickly to take out then this high, and this high. So those would be my weekly range targets. So if we're playing this range, if we do get back above this midpoint, that's my targets. Now, if we do break this cleanly, right, then we're going to be looking for that as a first objective. And then if it SFPs this low, then we can start looking for something there. But that ideally is the scenarios I'm looking for on euro. And just to confluence that, the same thing with pound. Like we were talking about, it is making bearish market structure on the daily. So that's why we're not really looking for pound longs over euro longs. But it did SFP this low, and it's starting to push up. So at the same time now, I don't really want to see pound drop any further. But if it does, I'm looking for it to come into this 124.75 level-ish. And if it does break this, then that's going to be where I'm looking for more downside, and I'm not really looking for pound longs, because this really doesn't look that strong to me. I see a lot of people talking about pound longs, and I don't see it personally. That's fine. I'm just going to kind of wait till things clear up on this, because we could get something more along the lines of this, right? And then we'll start looking for pound longs once it pushes back above this level right there, which is fine. I mean, we don't need to be looking for longs right now. There are plenty other setups to go into the beginning of the week. So that is pound. And then eventually my targets would be right here. And then if we do break this, then it's the swing highs. But I do think we'll kind of range within this price leg for a little bit. Okay, Aussie. Let's just touch on Aussie real quick, and then we'll wrap this up. Okay, so we had similar market structure on New Zealand. It made this higher low right here, right? And then we were looking to push up, and we talked about a couple weeks ago, since Aussie was making the lower low and New Zealand was making the higher low, we expected New Zealand to be the more powerful pair, and it was. It paid off really nicely, and it was the same thing on the highs. We saw a little divergence there, and we saw New Zealand was going to be the more powerful dropper, and it did as well. But now, that being said, New Zealand did drop a little bit further than Aussie did. So let's just pull these up side by side, and you can see New Zealand pulled all the way back down into this demand, where the reciprocal demand on Aussie wasn't necessarily tapped into yet. So we can just mark this out right here, this high of this candle. So this is that market structure we were talking about, right? We had a low, sorry, we had a low right there and a low right there. Okay, and the same thing here. It's a little lower time frame, you can't really see it. The high right there, and a high right there, and then a high right there, and it takes that out, right? So now that we've looked at the market structure differences, we're expecting Aussie to be our better bullish pair. Let's drop it down into the 4 hour. Sorry, if we go back out to the hourly, if we go back out to the daily real quick, we had this low and broke this high. Now we want to see basically any low here hold. I ideally don't want to see it get back below this daily demand right here, but if it does, then we'll start kind of looking into this low being taken into this level. But ideally, we want to see it find support either here and start rallying after taking this low, and these are really clean lows right here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did one of these, drop down, reclaim, find support there, and then head higher on this low right there. So those are the possibilities I'm looking for Aussie, but I do like the area it's come into right here, and I don't want to see it break below these two daily support levels. So if it can hold this and then kind of start making bullish price action, that's where I'll be looking for longs. So my main watches for this week are probably going to be Euro and Aussie going in, and that also does kind of bring up the cross pair I was looking at, which is Euro Aussie. I do think that's going to be a big mover. If we just take a quick glance at that, I'll go back into that later for a quicker breakdown or a longer breakdown. But this is just my this is my Euro Aussie chart, and if we look on the daily, it came down. It's within this price range right here. So if we just mark out this leg, okay. So if we look right, it's at the 50% right there, okay, which is this major price leg it's still within. And it's came down, it's taken out this low on the daily and into this demand zone right here. So now it's starting to push up. Now I'm going to look for, on a low time frame, I'm going to look for an entry setup around here. That'll be one of my main watches going into the week. So Euro, Aussie, and Euro Aussie longs are my main watches if dollar follows the plan. Now, if dollar does break above that level, then we will start to look to change bias just like we did last week, and we'll take it from there. So have a good one, guys. Happy trading.